Situation report, Pacific Front, June 1946. A Marine detachment of the 17th Army has stabilized the front lines in Palembang and is being reinforced by elements of the 5th Army's mountain specialists. Troops are moving to relieve embattled Allied forces at Batavia, who have been surrounded by Canadian armored divisions. Admiral Kolchak's 3rd Surface Group has successfully cleared the Java Strait of enemy surface threats and is moving north to support Operation Polar Bear, the landing of light troops in Alaska. Situation report, Atlantic Front, June 1946. The surprise attack on Bermuda has been a complete success, the 17th Army's Marines landing under cover of darkness and quickly subduing the surprised garrison before they could organize. Admiral Kedrov's 1st Surface Group, escorted by the brand new Vlastny-class extended-range destroyers, has covered the landings, something US military planners had considered impossible. Operatives in the American capital of San Francisco report that US Navy losses in the Atlantic were withheld from the civilian administration and the public, but leaked rumors of Russian troops landing a mere 1,000 kilometers off the eastern seaboard are causing panic buying among the population. There was indeed just a single division in Bermuda. The troops have successfully landed, and the fleet is now, while we're building up the port, covering the surrounding area. We are going to need to pull the submarines up to start scouting the eastern seaboard and the Caribbean. And we are going to need destroyers to cover the resupply routes, so such that they're not being attacked by, say, American submarines in the mid-Atlantic when we start sending ships across in large numbers. For that, we have the Ivan class of destroyers, or frigates rather, or corvettes if you want, light ships, very lightly armored, but designated anti-submarine warfare ships that will be the backbone of this particular operation. We are somewhat clear in the Pacific when it comes to, we are managing to sink the occasional submarine now, and we've got a few destroyers operating in the area that are chasing them away. Aircraft are proving to be rather successful at this. Friendly troops have been mostly surrounded and are probably not going to make it out south of Batavia. But we are, now that we've got some reinforcements here, we are going to launch the counterattack against the entrenched Australian lines, now that we've got some mountaineers in the field as well. But we can get the Marines to lead the charge. And we will see if we can manage to, let's cut off the troops in the north. We'll see if we can retake the crossing, and then we'll retake Batavia, and from there liberate the rest of Indonesia. But it also means that we can probably get Kolchak's fleet out from here, so we're no longer going to be operating in these regions, but he is going to operate as naval invasion support in the Bering Sea. We might not have the range on Kolchak's group because these are the older ships. Let's see. We're probably not going to have range all the way across towards Alaska, but we'll make our way north towards Kamchatka. We might have to bring out a few more modern destroyers on this flank as well. We've got one in training and a few more coming out, so that should. Otherwise, we'll have to bring out some from the Pacific. We do have this particular group as well, which is currently operating as strike force. I think that's a little ambitious. I might actually, because these are mostly Gnevnis, Vitebsks, and similar things. So this is more of a destroyer group. We'll put them back. I'm not sure why the Lazarev is here. She should probably be in the other fleet. So let's get the Lazarev across, and I might bring a few of the Novgorods across as well. The Vitebsks and yeah, the Vitebsks are probably, let's see, what's the range on these things? Vitebsk, 1800 kilometers, that's probably not enough. From that, they do have some anti-submarine capabilities, so we can probably start using the detaching that from Kedyrov's fleet, that group. So we've got the Vitebsks and we've got a few Gnevnis. The Gnevnis have really no, other than making sound and chasing away the submarines, no capabilities otherwise. But I think we'll get this fleet, we'll get this task force separated, and we are going to. This one is operating as strike force. Yeah, we are going to start. We are going to start using them to cover the crossings and the resupply lines, because we are, if we are going to invade, going to need ground forces. We do have Casagrandi's second army in the field, but I would like to have some firepower. So let's assemble ourselves an invasion force that will make its way across once the lines are secured and the Marines have landed on the eastern seaboard. We are going to bring along General Stephan's 6th Army, which is going to include all 3 Sviatogor divisions, as well as the heavy tanks and the motorized or mechanized guards. They will need to be assembled first. We'll bring Casagrandi's 2nd Army as well, and we do have the 15th here, but we probably won't need that. Let's see what else we can bring along that makes more sense. Yeah, we've got Govorov's 14th Army. We'll bring that one as well. So let's get these positioned. These are specialists for urban combat. And yeah, that's not helpful. Okay, so we'll bring those. We do have Ungen Sternberg's mountain divisions. Where are they currently located? They're currently located on the Norwegian front. Yeah, I might bring these. I might pull these off from here actually, because it doesn't look like we're currently be in severe trouble with Norway. Sweden should be able to hold that, unless the British are going to try and stab us in the back while this happens. Not sure. They did cancel the non-aggression pact, but I think I can afford to pull the mountain divisions off that. I've got a few more in the north here. Those I'm probably just gonna leave. So we bring 6 divisions from Ungen Sternberg's 5th Army, which is a little scattered. We'll bring these along as well. And then, yeah, we are going to need aircraft. So we are building up the airbase in Bermuda, and that will become the staging ground. We're not going to have range to actually attack the eastern seaboard, but that'll become the staging ground as well. So from here on, we can launch invasions north into Canada, as well as along the whole eastern seaboard. So we'll be bringing additional troops in as we go. We are facing, what do we know about the American army? We are facing a large number of enemy divisions, somewhat between 2 and 4 million divisions under arms, and they do have some modern tanks as well. So we are going to be looking for a potentially difficult battle, because we'll be fighting the Canadians at the same time, which are nowhere near as numerous, but that's another 750,000 men under arms that need to be dealt with. So we are definitely going to be needing additional troops to come over, and I think we can bring in, what do we have in the Asian theater? We've got Pepelaev's armies. This is all guards divisions. Might actually bring. We might bring the 15th as well, which is currently stationed in Europe, or we bring one from the. We've still got Popov's 11th Army. This is all mechanized. Yeah, I think these would be good. This would be good as well. So let's bring these along too, and that should give us a fair amount of firepower. We can probably pull one of the Asian armies over. I don't think we need, now that the threat of Japan has mostly been dealt with, I think we're going to get Pepelaev's troops into Europe too. So we'll move these into the European theater, and they'll be going towards northern Spain here. This is going to be a logistical nightmare, the whole thing. So with Spain under Russian occupation, that is going to be fun logistically. So let's have a quick look. Do we need to build up some of the supply positions here, just so the troops can be supplied for their launches? We might have to. So I might go and schedule a few railway links just to ensure that we have sufficient supply available to us, and I will prioritize that in terms of construction. That's not that much actually, so we should get through that relatively quickly. We do have a massive civilian industry, so this should not be really a problem. The bigger task obviously is going to be to secure this, and that is what this task force is for. All right, escort fleet under Admiral Stark is going to manage convoy escorts along the Atlantic. We're going to get additional destroyers to help out with these tasks once they become available. And with that, we still need to get, we might have to pull these off a little here and start adding let's make another one here. All right, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 6 active regions. All right, so we'll be covering the Caribbean, Florida coast, eastern seaboard, and the Newfoundland Sea. And with that, we will have, we can still cover the mid-Atlantic as well. With that, we should have sufficient information about enemy naval movements, because the US Navy is far from being defeated. They still have 3 battle cruisers, 10 battleships, 4 carriers, 129 destroyers, 12 heavy cruisers. So they are still a formidable force and significantly larger than the Kedrov's battle group that is operating here. We are getting a little reinforcement here still, but overall, this is a bit of a smaller group. However, we do have 2 of the Tsar Vladimirs with us, so that should count for something. The heavy firepower is quite significant. And we do have the Admiral Ushakov's and the Admiral Alexeyev class light cruisers on us as well, together with the Vlastnina. So this is the most modern fleet that Russia can currently field. We do have a few more ships in production, but I don't think they'll be ready in time for the engagement. The carriers the Imperatsia Maria are still a year away, and so are the carriers. So a little less than a year, which means we are probably not going to be particularly having these around for aggressive operations. We do have a few. I might have. Do we have the Carps? I think the Carps had their own. Yeah, there we go. We might get that particular group. We're currently covering the Atlantic here, but I might actually separate out the Carp class submarines and get them to start operating, to start convoy raiding off the eastern seaboard, because they are the most modern submarines. So we can start disrupting American trade and troop movement and potential troop movements here as well. All right, fleet under Admiral Sidorov is going to start raiding off the coast of the American coast and see what we can find. We've got the fleet on strike force in Bermuda. We're building up the Bermuda facilities, and the Marines from Bermuda are going to start planning the naval invasion. So we'll be making the first landing. That's an interesting question. Where should we land? We could land in Norfolk, or we could land in New York. It's not quite as critical because the capital is in San Francisco. So we are, either way, we're going to have to fight our way through things here. Now, the more interesting question is, I think I do like the New York City landings still, New York cities, because that is going to allow us to cut off, I would have said to cut them off in the north, but the Canadians are on board with this as well. So maybe a bit further, maybe Norfolk is not a terrible idea because it's less convoluted and we can sort of cut into the cut north towards Washington from here. We can enact secondary landings. It's also, I think, more of the shorter route. Yeah, not making a big difference. All right, we've got six Marines. So let's get 1, 2, 3 of them to land here. And that would be the first half. And we've got the other half, which is going to land south of Norfolk. And they are going to, we're going to have to rename that. They're going to support the landing from here. So that's a landing force. We do still have some Marine divisions over here. So now that we are starting to protect the convoys, I'll wait until the submarines are in place. But now that we're starting to protect the convoys, I can start bringing these over as well, and we can begin. We can make secondary landings along the lines, but we do need to build up things a little bit in order to get supply across and secure the lines. So we still have some work to do there. All right, we do have another research slot from the completed catch up with Europe task. There is really not an awful lot left anymore that we need. We could get a new. Yeah, why not? Let's get some rocketry going. Not that we're particularly going to need it, but we have another research slot, which is great. We're already doing the radars. Yes, I did want to get into experimental rockets, but also atomic research might actually be necessary at this point. So let's get that underway. It's about time that we catch up with the rest, because who knows what the Americans have in store. All right. This is just some submarine operations, and here as well we're chasing down some unescorted American convoys that are probably trying to ferry troops between Ireland and the mainland. So having submarines operating in the area is always a good thing. All right. First things first, however, we are going to launch. Yeah, we are launching aggressive operations here. We do have some air support, but not an awful lot because the Palembang air base is still building up. Although we do have some space now, so I can probably get the close air support wings over here, and we can bring a few additional. It should have. Yeah, we've got some CAS wings north here. I might actually be a good idea to bring. I might bring 3 more of these over, and that should be sufficient, but it might be a good idea to start bringing the rest of them. We've got CAS and fighter wings. Start bringing them over towards Europe for deployment. So we'll collect all of these in Madrid for now. We do have fighter wings here as well. And we are going to need a few scout planes and other things. So actually, it might be worth beginning. Do we actually have an airbase on Bermuda? We do. So it's probably not a terrible idea to start bringing the scout wings over. I think that might not need all of those. Let's start with those. Actually, let's bring these. That's probably enough. So we'll bring these over to Bermuda. And they can start doing some air recon missions, and well, I'm not sure we got range, but at least we have them ready in case we do have range. We do have some naval XP, so I can start slowly expanding into carrier operations. I think that is. Yeah, the convoy sailing, for example, is good as well. This is in the carrier tree, but it's actually for submarine detection and escort efficiency. So that's great to have. We're done with everything else, I think, doctrinally. So this is the only part left from the naval doctrines. All right. So Marines are fighting the Australians, and the Australians are dug in pretty well. So they are. This is probably most of that's entrenchment. So it's jungle fighting here, but I think the Marines can make their way through. The mountain divisions still need to organize themselves somewhat, and the Indian Armored Division is probably not in the best terrain here for it. But I think we can. Break through here without too much trouble. further naval invasions in Sumatra. Yeah, they're launching a lot of naval invasions, but they don't have an awful lot of submarines operating in the area anymore. But enemy troops are moving around. Okay, we have sunk 12 American destroyers. Well done. That was a destroyer group that was operating around Bermuda. So Kedrov's fleet has been successful here. But we're now starting to see additional American forces coming into the area. So I am thinking that for now we may have to be somewhat careful. I might actually take it off strike force for now, just until we have clarity over what ships are operating in the area here, and we know exactly where they are, lest our fleet get intercepted and sunk, which would be less than ideal. So let's make sure that we have some clarity. Yeah, there's definitely a large battle group operating here. So let's find out what exactly it is before we start engaging it. And that's what the Okuns are for. Once they arrive in theater, then they will be getting a pretty good idea. And we do obviously have to be careful. That's where they are. We do have to be a bit careful with moving troops around if the naval area hasn't been secured. So we do have to be careful in that regard. An additional Australian invasion in the south here, but we should probably be having that under control. And I think we can now begin. Yeah, we can start. The enemy troops are being pushed back here, so we'll start pushing them towards the. Okay, and it seems like friendly troops are still holding. Actually, an Indonesian division has managed to hold out completely under strength against the Canadian armored divisions here. So we are. I do have to be a little careful. No, these are just convoys being sunk. Yeah, I do have to be a little careful with enemy naval movements here. What was I saying? Yeah, the Indonesians have actually managed to, or are managing to, or were managing to hold out here. So we're going to bypass mostly the enemy troops here and send whatever assistance we can lend. Mountain divisions are coming in. We're about to take the village of or the town of Teluk Betung, and from there we are going to let's immediately assault the 48th military district division from the Australians, and see that we relieve the embattled Indonesians. The Indonesians have held. The Australians have with that counterattack have surrendered, and with that we should have, given that the Indonesians are holding the strait, we are I think in a good position to link up with friendly troops south of Batavia and then start the operations to recapture the area. We still have some entrenched Australians here in the jungle to deal with, and we've got some naval combat. That is submarines hunting. That is convoys, and that is convoys. Okay, nothing that we need to worry about. Do we have some more clarity over that task force? It's not a carrier force, but they have some of the battleships out there. So once we have a little bit more clarity then of what we're dealing with, because if we're dealing with a large carrier force, that might be something we'll have trouble operating against. All right, let's focus on the land campaign and just keep an eye on things that might change still. Right, we've got the 60th and the 64th, the old veritable mountain divisions, coming in to relieve the Indonesians while the Americans are reinforcing Batavia. That is not going to help them, because once we have additional troops here and have reinforced the somewhat embattled lines, we are going to relieve the rest of them as well. Right, we captured a Canadian operative. In fact, we're rescuing one of our operatives. That group is currently, we might need that, the 12th Army actually as well, the dedicated anti-tank, although I'm not sure we need them now that we have Stefan's armored divisions. So for now I'm going to divert them into another army group, and we'll have to organize that all for the invasion. So friendly troops are, you're going to need new front lines. In fact, I might actually give these a separate command, because otherwise this is going to get a little weird. We're going to get these troops into the temporary 9th Army under Letvitov, and that is going to be in the Asian theater and can join. What do we have here? We've got Markov, or we've got Ungarn Sternberg himself. Sorry, not Ungarn Sternberg, Wrangel himself. So I might get that under Markov for now. And these troops are going to get their own front line to relieve, with the order to relieve the rest, or to liberate the rest of the island chains up to, actually we can't march that far. Yeah, like that. All right, so with that, we're no longer having weird troop movements, and we're getting all the troops now into their assigned territories. We are going to have to sort out probably Batavia first, because supply is going to be abysmal. So I think liberating Batavia is going to be a first order of business. I will see if we can. The Americans obviously are shipping troops in under heavy Russian air attacks, while trying to reinforce Batavia here. Supply is going to be the primary issue, I believe, to get that across the strait. So let's get in what troops we have available, and begin some combat operations. Because we have to use the what momentum we can to try and push them out while they are engaged, to try and push them out from Batavia. All right, so positions south of Batavia have been liberated. We still got 2 relatively fresh divisions that we can bring in, so I'm going to get these immediately involved in additional combat operations. The question is, can we push the enemy out? And they have armored divisions defending Batavia. And the air situation is such that we do have good air support. So we do have 3 close air support wings, and I think I had another 3 here that can also join in from this side. They can actually move over towards Palembang. So we're going to because Batavia is kind of at the edge of their range here. So we can bring additional Air Force reinforcements in. Another naval landing in Borneo. We're currently holding against the Australians here. We should be able to hold that. We have troops available if we need to push them back out again. But and further naval invasions everywhere. I'm more interested to see if there's any naval combat, however, going on that I need to worry about. No, these are just submarines, and these are just convoys being sunk. Yes. All right, have we some clarity of what the Americans are operating from here? Not particularly, because they've gone back to port. So I'm still going to build up the radar station in Bermuda as well. That might still be where are we at? Yeah, we're at 0 still, and we might need to improve the infrastructure in Bermuda too. So let's do that while we're at it, because that is going to be our staging ground. All right, naval, we're starting to wear down the submarines quite successfully. So the Australians are losing submarines left, right, and center in the area. The big question is going to be if we can manage to take Batavia, and I think at this point we might give the troops a moment to reorganize. We do have, it'll be ideal if we could surround them, but I don't think we can make that push because we're very much out of supply. I'm going to wait for the other 2 divisions to arrive, and then once they're here, we give the Americans some time to retreat. Once they're here, then we'll launch the assault from all sides. So I need to get everyone onto that front line. And we've just still got a Marine division here too. And once the 34th and 115th is in theater, then and launches the attack, then we can get the other 2 to begin attacking from the south as well. Might have to hold that first while the troops are repositioning. So I need to get the 116th in place. And yeah, the biggest problem is supply. But at least Allied troops can now reposition and get some rest and recovery too. It would be great. Now the Indians probably not so much. And tank divisions in the city is not going to work too well. But we don't want to wait too long. Depth charge mortar is done, which means we are going to yeah, we're just going to go with regular research. Okay. And we have a prototype decision. All right, we'll look at that quickly. This is the jet engines, I believe. So a research bonus for light aircraft. We might, yeah, just in general. Or we might go with light aircraft, jet aircraft. Yeah, let's go light jet aircraft. Going to give us a research bonus. All right, troops are recovering whatever organization they can. And we are, while the enemy is repositioning, we're still waiting for some troops to arrive. Improvised snorkel is done, which means we are pretty much done here in this tree. We've got the electric torpedoes to do. That's just a passive bonus, so let's get that underway. And we have the submarine MIO. What can we get? This is convoys, not interested. Convoys, really. Minus 20% weather penalty. Yep. Let's do that. And then we can redesign the Carp class submarines, because these things are going to get better snorkels. All right, and the upgrades from them as well. So let's save that. That's the Carp class A. Do we have any in production? We do. So let's make one more and then schedule another line for the Carp class submarines. All right, we've got a few more ships into ready for training. And I am, yeah, okay, we're going to, let's not get distracted. Let's focus on the, all right, I've got the troops in position. I'm going to start the assault now with what we have. It's not great, but we do need to take Batavia because that is going to be the, the linchpin to any further operations, because we do need this, we do need the supply to come in. So, exhausted troops against 3 American armored divisions, but we have some trouble breaching them, but I think we can manage to push them back. In urban environments, they're not operating particularly well, and the Air Force is going to be the one kind of leading the charge here. So we'll keep we'll keep sending the troops in. Unfortunately, they have to keep fighting. Very little rest available, but we have managed to retake Batavia, and with that we have re-established supply lines, and we can now begin the liberation of the island. All right. So Batavia is re-established, and we are going to. Obviously, the submarines are trouble, but the Australians are losing the submarines now in rapid succession. The destroyer managed to chase them away, and the Air Force managing to sink them wherever they are available. Right. One Australian division has landed here. We'll just deal with that relatively quickly. That should not be a problem. We have a lot of political power. I haven't actually paid attention to that. So there's a few things we can do. We don't need mines in the Baltic. We can start mining the Far East. Yeah, why not? Let's do that. And we can... Oh, we have got this one as well. All right, let's do that too. I don't think the field test equipment works. I've just never been able to find where the metals were. We've got a few things here to kick off, and then I think and we've got a few things in Ukraine to do as well. So recover territory operations too. Now, where's my fleet? Okay, the fleet is operating in the area. The problem is going to be the Northwestern Territory because we are out of range, which means we are going to need. Okay, we're starting to get some Ivan-class destroyers. They can begin reinforcing this group here. So we're going to start sending them. I think we're at 8 here. So I have a few I've got a few there. So let's start reinforcing these as well, and begin some operations. And then the next ones can begin building a new group in. I just want to have 2 groups here so we can chase the submarines out. The next one can begin reinforcing the Atlantic route, and we do have a few destroyers. How many do we have? 5, 6, 8. It's not enough. So see, the problem is we don't have range all the way north. How much enemy shipping is underway here? It's the northwest coast that's the problem. So we're too close to potential strike forces from the Pacific coast in order to cover this for a naval landing. That means we do need to separate out the destroyers because they are the ones that are limiting the range. Let's see. The cruisers have a range of that's 2,500 kilometers. That might also not be enough, actually. Okay, so it looks like naval range is going to be a limiting factor here. We are docked in Kamchatka, but we don't have the range to make our way across into the Arctic Sea. So let's have a look at what the battleships have at range. Actually, they have 3,000 kilometer range. So that if we were to let's see if the battle group by itself, if we get that to a different task force. That is so if we were to separate these out, that is also not going to be enough, actually. That's irritating at best because we are just short of projecting power into the northwest coastern sea zone. So we are literally 1 second out of naval range. All right, so this group is actually not going to be able to do this. So Kolchak's fleet is not going to. We're 1 tile short. And they do have 54 ships within range of that. So bringing a few submarines isn't going to be sufficient either. Which means that we are stuck. That's irritating. Which means that we're probably going to need the other fleet, which has the range to cover this. But because we're not controlling the Panama Canal, we'll have to sail the long way around. Okay, and so yeah, we might have to swap the fleets, to be honest. We'll have to bring this fleet. Okay, let's remove the order. Let's transfer this fleet to Bermuda and transfer Khodrov's fleet from Bermuda to Kamchatka. Okay, yeah, that is going to be a fleet switcheroo and a half, but it's the only way that we can actually land because we're literally one segment short. We just had to get here with the battleships, but we don't have the range. This fleet does have the range, so they'll be able to cover this, and then we can make this landing, and we should be able to use the older fleet here potentially to cover that landing, or we have to swap them around again if it comes to that. All right, so while that's ongoing, we have, these are just anti-convoy operations. We have some land battles to fight. Now that we're holding Batavia, I can start bringing, what's the air? It's a 600 airbase. So let's bring close air support in to Batavia. Anyway, we have complete aerial superiority. So we don't need the fighters anymore. We can ground these for now. We'll bring them in if we need them, but for now we have aerial superiority. So troops are. We'll wait for the troops to redeploy or to deploy and get their positions, and then we might actually be able to use momentum here to cut off the 3rd Canadian motorized. Let's see if we can make that happen, because the 14th Military District of Australia has just retreated. And with that, the Americans are trying to send tanks over out of Bandung, but that might not happen in time. Let's see. This is mountainous terrain. It's actually less. Yep, we've managed to get the troops there, so we can start dealing with the encircled Canadian tanks. They are. They are quite sturdy, but we'll be able to deal with them without too much trouble. So we are moving in. We're making kind of rapid movements here that can potentially allow us to encircle the enemy forces near Bandung if we can get in behind them. That would be actually ideal. Right. Expansion of the IRD is complete. That was research bonus. This is mobilization speed, division attack on core territory, barrier troops. No, we don't need that. We don't need these kind of orders. We'll just attack submarine squadrons. 6 submarine attack and better torpedo reveal chance. That's a nice one. All right, I am actually going to need mountain divisions here, so let me get some of these to assist, because they will move faster in the terrain. So if we can manage to get in behind, the Marines are leading the charge into the mountains here against the Australians, and they are landing additional troops in order to secure, because they are holding the ports here. So they're landing additional troops in order to secure their positions. Friendly troops have mostly retreated to Palembang to reconstitute themselves, and we are making headway here. I'm going to get the mountain divisions to see if they can. Of course, the 60th and the 64th, which have been fighting since the Italy campaigns. We'll see if we can get them to surround the enemy forces in a surprise strike against the port. But there might be massive reinforcements in here. So we'll see how well it works. These are absolute crack mountain divisions. Otherwise, we might try to isolate the port and then get troops across. So for now, we'll see if we can retake that position. We're starting, the CARPs are in place and starting to hunt down American convoys on the eastern seaboard. That is good to see. Destroyers are covering things, but we do have to be cautious about American strike forces now until the main fleets are back in the region. So let's do that. What do we have? A jet engine. where was the... Oh no, here, the modern battleship has an event. Okay, this is just innovation events, not decisions. So not much we need to do here. And we do have a fair few things in physics, but we don't have the research to actually start these projects just yet. All right, so for now, I will continue with the land campaign. And the interesting question will be, can the mountain divisions retake the naval base behind enemy lines, cut them off, and destroy them? And that will be an interesting question. So, unfortunately, the enemy has sent reinforcements, but the mountaineers are cutting through these Irish divisions very quickly, and I think I think our surprise rush through the mountains has succeeded. We'll wait until the 64th is in place and has cut off the port before we launch the general attack against enemy forces. All right, let's begin. Immediate counterattacks, but the 64th is now holding the port, which means we can launch supporting actions across the whole front line. They are trying to retake these positions now, obviously, and the 64th has to defend itself against enemy counterattacks. But I think that group here is going to be lost. We're going to be retaking Bandung, and from there we're going to destroy, what is this, 7 enemy divisions? Yeah, by the looks of it. So let's get everyone involved in. Actually, let's get them here. Okay. Let's begin the destruction of these encircled enemy divisions, and that should have been a significant blow to their the armed forces here. There are some enemy. Do I see enemy bombers? I do. We do have some. They have brought in long-range bombers, so we are going to. We're going to redeploy the fighters. They are going to operate again at the edge of their range, but that should deal with these bombers without trouble. And that means from here we can now consolidate the forces once more and sweep through the rest of the island eastwards. All right, we have some clarity now. The American First Task Force, 4 battleships, 1 battle cruiser, 7 heavy cruisers, 7 light cruisers, and 41 destroyers, is operating out of the Bahamas, and is threatening our approaches. So that is a task force we should be able to take on, even with the older fleet, which is currently. No, hang on. This is the other one. I've swapped them around, so now they're in the correct theaters. Yeah, this fleet should be able to take that on, especially if we. How many destroyers? We've got 40 escort ships for 9 capitals. That is an okay ratio. We've got a few modern destroyers that we can potentially add here, but I'd rather be interested. Actually, the Ivans need to go into here, and that needs to be on convoy escort. There we go. We've got a few ships in training that we could add here. A few of the Vlastnys, just because these are potentially facing more trouble. But I'm also a little wary. That is 35 on 5. That's a good ratio as well. I'm a bit wary of this group, because it is somewhat small, especially if they come under attack by a carrier group. That might be a little troublesome. But this group is definitely currently facing the known threat. So I might actually get the 5, 6, 7, 8 Vlastnys temporarily attached to this group here. And once they arrive in theater, then we are going to see if we can start hunting the Americans with more modern forces. All right, this is all mountainous terrain, so I'm going to definitely need the mountaineers here to lead the charge. Can we do another bypass? Let's see if we can manage to, with some support from the Marines, if we can manage to push the enemy out and cut the troops off in the front lines. We've got the mountaineers positioned. 60th is leading the charge now, and we will see if we can get behind the enemy. We're going to get the Marines on a diversionary attack to pin enemy forces in the mountains here, while the 60th is making its way through. I do have to be a little careful about supply, but I think we're good all in all from that area. All right, 60th is on the attack. The panic retreat of the Australians isn't going anywhere, and I think with that we can now launch a full-on assault from all available forces here, and we just need to get the 60th in place. Phased array is done, which means we can now get the improved radar. Done that, and then we can do a few more ship upgrades as well, because we've caught another Canadian armored divisions, and we're now at the port of Samarang, and then from there on out it's all the way up to Surabaya. The Mountaineers and the Marines are really the best combination to deal with this sort of terrain here, because we are we both have to to make fords and small sort of pseudo island landings, and we have to cross lots of mountainous terrain. There's a Canadian group. Okay, we know a small Canadian group that is operating here, hunting our submarines, but they're not really getting anywhere. The bigger question is, where are my what is this? That's an Ivan. Ivan can go there. And the bigger question is, where are my battle group? This one is almost in Kamchatka, actually. That was faster than I anticipated, and they are currently in the Mediterranean. So Kolchak is going to take over Atlantic operations while we launch the landing in Kamchatka. And then I think we can get both fleets. We'll see where the Americans are. For now, here we need to consolidate our positions a little bit and give the troops some time to organize themselves here, because we've sort of run ahead a bit. This is open terrain, so we'll wait. And we've got a Mexican operative as well now. We'll make our way through here, isolate enemy divisions, and destroy them as we go. I think somebody asked about losses. We've lost so far 50,000 men in the operations against the Entente. Canada has lost almost 1 million and is certainly high up there, and the United States almost 1 million as well. Okay, the Americans are planning to retake Bermuda, for obvious reasons. But we will deal with that very soon once we have the fleets in operation. Kolchak's ships are already out and will be reaching Bermuda soon, and then from there we should have sufficient control over the area that they cannot easily land their forces. This task force here is going to be a problem, because that's 12 capital ships. And with their respective support, and that is going to be a bit of an issue. All right, Carps are training up, and we've got another Vlastny actually here that we might deploy there. Let's bring that over. And then they can reinforce the hunting operations of the Eastern Seaboard. Germany East Asia has cancelled and the Qing government both have cancelled non-aggression pacts with us. So having an army in Asia is probably not a terrible idea, because things. It seems that the idea is getting into people's minds that fortunes are changing, that Russia for some reason will be having trouble against the Americans. So maybe we'll have to bring that to an end sooner rather than later. Okay, it's got a few. Don't need compliance. Yeah, let's get this one done. A few more free dockyards. All right, time to advance once more, and we can also. Yeah, the Americans are reinforcing Surabaya now. They're really trying to hold their positions here, but I think we can deal with those without too much trouble and continue our march eastwards. Now that the troops have been somewhat reconstituted, I'm keen to destroy these Canadian armored divisions. Let's send one additional Marine division in. We've got some American half trucks north, but they are not standing a chance against the experienced mountaineers. And the same goes here, which means we can probably manage to encircle. Yep, there's another one. We'll see if we can manage to encircle and cut off enemy troops here. Cossacks in Russia have always been a privileged caste. With a large degree of autonomy during the times of the empire, they considered themselves the true masters of the vast amount of rich lands on which their Cossack hosts were located. During the Civil War, the vast majority of Cossacks sided with the whites. The Kuban and Don republics were created to maintain a certain degree of independence. Although they had occasionally difficult relations with other white leaders, none of the Cossacks seriously sought independence from Russia, and so these republics were abolished as soon as the situation in the country stabilized. The Cossack hosts became autonomous once again, now within the RFDR. However, the Civil War unwittingly planted the seeds of Cossack nationalism, and all that was needed was the rain to make them sprout. The abolition of the Cossack autonomies and the forced integration to equalize this rich minority, which had not even paid taxes for many centuries, led to riots that were harshly suppressed by the authorities. Now, after a few years of debate, the Cossacks seem to have found a goal to strive for, the creation of Kossachia. A few months ago, a magazine of the same name was published in Novocherkassk, edited by Ignat Bili and Vasily Glaskov, glorifying the leaders of the anti-Russian Cossack revolts in the past. The magazine promotes Cossack culture and the full independence of the southern Russian Cossacks as a completely separate federal country. Although it has very small circulation, Kossachia has managed to attract several groups of nationalistically minded young Cossacks, although few would believe that the idea could gain any serious popularity among the mainstream population. We could throw them in jail, or for separatism, or we could take a drop on that. Do we actually still have something to do with? I thought we were done with the Cossack operations. There were. Okay, we still have some reforms to do here, by the looks of it. Okay, we might actually have to do this if this is what's causing me more trouble here. So I think, yeah, fine. We'll take the one base stability. That's fine. I've got more than I need, but we might need to deal with these situations. Yeah, I'm not sure if that's related, but the problem is we need 6 divisions in there, so that should be easy. Should be easy to organize. I'm simply going to get 6 divisions and place them here. There we go. And then we'll just need some political power to tidy up some loose ends here. All right, where's my fleet? Fleet is 5 more ships, 1 Vlastny. We'll send that here, and 4 Ivans. They can go. I got 2 here, and I might send the other 2 over there. All right. That needs to be on convoy escort. There we go. I thought they were. All right, so convoy escorts are building up, and we have arrived. So right now we're just repairing some damage that has been accrued during the transit, and then this fleet, once the reinforcements also arrive, will become available, which means that the other fleet is docked in Kamchatka. So if we're going to get them onto naval invasion support, and your regions are going to be those, that should work out range-wise. Okay, this is confusing because this fleet definitely has a longer range than the other. We should have range into this region. So why are we not having naval range? Let's have a look. 4,500 kilometers on this thing. We've got 3,000. Oh, is it the old light cruisers? 4.5. Yeah, we might have to detach. Good grief. We might still have to detach these things. How about the Admiral Lazarev? 3,000. Yeah, as well. So these light cruisers, as well as that heavy cruiser, are going to detach, which means that this group should now, this is 3,300 kilometers. This is the longest we can possibly have range-wise. This should be enough for naval invasion support. But unfortunately, it seems to be not the case. That is obscure. This should have absolutely. They should have range. There's no. I don't believe that that's not enough range. That is ludicrous. These things had range from here to Bermuda, so that is way longer than this range here. They should totally have range into the northern areas. So why can we not? Why does this not? Okay, can I build a naval base that is closer? I don't think I can. Can I build a naval base here? Yes, I can. All right. In that case, if the game insists, or can we build a naval base up north here? No. So in that case, I'm going to build a second naval base in the north to get us a little closer and to give us range into. That is obscure. This should, in my opinion, this should absolutely be sufficient. But okay, if that's how we're playing it. So this, I'm going to take this off naval invasion support. Just this group, they should absolutely have range. I'm very doubtful that that's not working. They should be able to get here, and that should be enough to power project the coast. We are three active regions. No, this one. 4 active regions actually. Where else are we? Oh, they're still on the Sargasso Sea. Yeah, that makes no sense. Okay, so they need to have range here, and that's still not working out. Okay, not believing that. I'm not believing that for once game. But let's see. I'll build a naval base in North Kamchatka then, and see if we can. Or is this the same actually? Hang on. This should be up here, right? This should be separate ones. So let me just double check that. So that's Kamchatka. They're both Kamchatka. Okay. So I should be getting a naval base. I should be naval base in the north. And then I can hopefully have the range to launch this invasion. I've done this before. This shouldn't be this difficult. Pretty sure I've done this before. Anyway. It is what it is. We don't have 3 dockyards, so let's boost the. We've got 10 dockyards around. Let's build more of the Ivans because we're going to need a lot of these because they are going to take over. They are going to take over the escort duty. All right. While I wasn't looking, my mountaineers have gotten themselves cut off. So let's deal with that situation. On the quick, and get them just to move north towards Surabaya. In that case, then I'll simply keep cutting off the enemy. We do need to deal with Samarang, and we can also begin attack operations south. Alright, that's dealt with. Surabaya seems open, so let's retake Surabaya and then consolidate the front lines once more. Okay, yeah. Surabaya is oh no, they actually have somewhere to retreat. That's one for the Marines. They can deal with that. But we do need to clear out the enemy forces here, so let's make sure that that happens. All right, enemy forces being cleared out, and we have managed to push the enemy there. Can I get a Marine division? I thought I had one around here. All right, we'll get this one. I would want to use a Marine division for this out of Surabaya, and then we are. I think we're reasonably clear how many more ports. They have one more ports in Singaraja, but then that's about it. So, okay. So with with slight confusion and chaos in the northern sector here, we are, however, still having the rest of the fleet over in Bermuda, which is still repairing. Okay, so they're not ready for combat yet. They have to do some repairs first. All right, so in that case, and the Americans are not yet coming out, but they might come out if we start hunting down things like destroyer groups if they're any operating. I still don't know where the American carrier groups are. They're probably in the Pacific, but we haven't seen them. We haven't seen them in the South Pacific. So for now, I think we can reasonably easily just keep going here and just make use of the momentum. But Singaraja is going to be trouble. That we're going to need the Marines for that. So once we're holding the line here, they are furiously reinforcing. Once we're holding the line here, then we wait for the Marines to arrive, and I think then we can get everyone onto that front line. So let's make sure we capture that, but everyone onto the front line and everyone onto the offensive line as well. All right, we're about to retake Singaraja, and that I think is one of the last ports. There is a. Okay, that was weird. We're gonna have to properly redo the offensive lines, but from there on. Okay, hang on. One thing at a time. I'm gonna have to properly redo the lines here. Can I get this? I can't apparently. So. Can I? All right, that works. And then from here, draw the offensive line again. Okay, now we're good. All right, I'm gonna have to wait for the Marines to make their way there. Can somebody just deal with this? Or do I need, okay, I'll send one Marine division out. Meanwhile, we have, there's still that Canadian destroyer group operating out in the north here. That's what I mean. Like if I start hunting these, that will be getting interesting. But the infrastructure in Bermuda is starting to increase. And why are my patrols not effective? Let's have a look. That would be this group. They should all be on patrol. Yes, they should all be on patrol. Not entirely certain what the problem is, because they're not active in the region. So where are they then? Okay. What's the issue, game? All right, things are behaving a little weird again. So I might have to reload and see if that sorts itself out. Been having some issues, sort of bug-wise here. Anyway, I think we'll wait. How long is this going to take? The Kamchatka, 29th of August. That's not too long. So we'll see if that solves it, and then we can at least get the Alaskan invasion done, because I really would like to. All right. Reactive engine special model 1. Was it one of the... this is part of the nuclear research. Yeah, we're totally doing that. Okay, so troops are slow to make their way to the front lines. We have supply from Surabaya, I believe. Yes, still a few lines to restore. And then once the base here is complete, then we are going to attempt to launch the invasion again. In the meantime, the first modern tanks are being delivered to Stefans heavy tank divisions, so we can start slowly switching these over, and they should be ready for combat by the time things are starting. I've got a few more factories, so I could actually still accelerate modern tank production. Where are they? T-54s. Yeah, we're going to need a few more of those. So let's get another 10 factories on that. Maybe 20. There we go. We have the materials. May as well use them. And that means we'll we'll accelerate the speed. The friendly troops are consistently trying. It's the Danes now trying to invade Ireland. They're not going to get very far. And we are consistently sinking enemy troop ships on the approaches here. But I'll leave this as a problem for somebody else. Now this fleet is still repairing. So once they add, that's probably due to the Bermuda naval base not being particularly high built up. Where are we currently? It's a level 2 naval base. I am building it up, but it's taking a while. So that's that. Anyway, we'll see if the Kamchatka solution actually allows us to launch the naval invasion of Alaska. Otherwise, we might have to abandon that and figure out something else. Okay, almost there. And the Marines have arrived and troops have consolidated. So the Marines will lead the charge for the assault against Singaraya. This is going to be somewhat tricky, but we do have air support and we have some naval support as well. I think, I'm not entirely certain from what, but we do. So with that, then the Marines have no trouble whatsoever making their way across. So we'll immediately continue to push across the islands until the last enemy position is taken over. And we have 24 destroyers now operating out here. So Sargasso Sea, the enemy is getting a little aggressive now in the Sargasso Sea. Against our escort destroyers. That means we do definitely need to get the fleet underway here. How are we on repairs? Most of the repairs are mostly done. I think we are going to begin fleet operations now out of Bermuda. We do have the aircraft, but they're not going to have range. Air recon's not going to help. I would need naval patrol, but these are not equipped for that. So unfortunately, they don't have range for it. What we can do, however, is we can bring naval bombers over if we have any available. We do. We've got a few naval bomber wings, so we'll bring those over to Bermuda Air Base, and start attacking enemy shipping in the Sargasso Sea. But with our escort destroyers now coming under attack, so we do need to abort the repair task and see if we can get the fleet to engage. Unfortunately, too late. We've lost three destroyers to enemy action. That is less than ideal. So, but at least now we'll be beginning to clear out enemy destroyer forces that have been getting brazen in the area, and I think we are now going to at least start clearing out the Sargasso Sea. Not yet sure about if we're attacking the seaboard, but we do know that the enemy fleet is operating out of here. Not sure if we should be able to take them on. So I'm going to include the rest of the area here, and start attacking enemy shipping in earnest, because these destroyers are starting to become are starting to become aggressive. And there was also a Canadian task force operating somewhere out there. So we'll include these sea zones and start projecting some power here. Okay, that is actually, is that the force that was coming out of Bermuda? Or that might have been up in port in the US. So we have a veritable task force here. And this is going to be a noticeable battle. Unfortunately, they have managed to sink two of our submarines, and then have gone back in port, and we haven't managed to intercept in time. But we will see if we can start catching enemy shipping here in the area. The Kursks have been up. Enemy destroyer sunk. We'll see if we can intercept any enemy shipping in the area here, and entice the fleet to come out. Okay, we've caught a few American destroyers that will be sinking to the bottom. All right, done. And there's the battle group. All right, there is the American task force. So Kolchak's fleet is sailing to engage. They have been attacked from the air. We have done some damage to the Pennsylvania, and Kolchak's fleet is in hot pursuit. We'll see if we can catch the American battle group before it reaches its home port. But Kolchak's fleet obviously not the fastest out there, so I think they might be. Yeah, they've unfortunately reached their home port before we were able to intercept them. So, but having naval bombers in the area is definitely going to make their operations harder, and we are going to continue the battle in the Atlantic. Once we've actually managed the landing operations, we can bring the second fleet in as well and get both fleets operating. However, the thing that I'm more interested in right now is, can we, if we are, where is that naval base? That should be complete. Yes, I have completed a naval base. Oh, that's up here. I thought it was beyond the Pacific side. Yeah, that's not helpful. So that means even if we were to, because that even decreases the range even further. That means for some reason, I'm calling bugs here. For some reason, we cannot launch a naval invasion of the Arctic because we're not getting the naval supremacy in the sea zone here. Okay, so apparently we need a naval range of over 4,000 kilometers to get here, which I don't see, but okay. So the only ships that actually have range are the two Tsar Vladimirs and the Admiral Alexeyevs. The other ships that have range would be the Okuns. So I'm going to temporarily relegate the Okuns to invasion support that are operating in the Pacific theater. The problem is we're dealing with we don't get the necessary naval supremacy from the four ships that actually have range to make it there. So that means, the Carps won't have range either. Either I would have to get all Okun class submarines that are currently available, because they're into this fleet, which are the only ships that have the sufficient range to make it across, together with the large ones. Or I'm going to have to get a few more heavy ships going. The problem obviously is, and I think it might not be a terrible idea, to get a few more of the Admiral Alexeyevs going. So let's get them modernized, and we get two more. We get maybe three more. There we go. 3 more lines of 2 ships each, and that means I'm going to have 1, 2, 3 lines complete and then switch over. Obviously that'll take a while, but this is irritating. I'll try and see if we can get that to work. Otherwise, we will have to, even if we were to take Hawaii, that's probably not going to have range to reach US mainland. So I don't know if something's changed. Quite weird, but otherwise we'll simply launch the main invasion from the eastern seaboard, which is going to come out of all the troops available here. I have built up Bermuda quite a bit, and I think now we have good control, so I can start bringing the second group of Marines over as well. So these can move over towards Bermuda, and they can start their own naval invasion into, well, we might hit the Canadians in the north and see if we can knock them out of the war relatively quickly. If we start over in Halifax, and actually if we start here with five Marine divisions, then that should be somewhat successful as well, and allow us to cut off to make our way towards the enemy capital. So we'll open another front in the north, and then obviously the rest of the troops will have to start coming in. But I'm still hoping that we can manage to get the Alaskan invasion and not have poor Okafor sitting here for nothing and freezing in Kamchatka. We'll see if we can get enough long-range shipping available that allows us to cut the enemy power projection here and to get across there. Still, it must be the number of. It could be that the naval sectors here are just too small, are just smaller than here, but I'm still not seeing it like this. It is a long range, but it should be possible to reach that. Anyway, long story short, we'll still try that, and we will see if that works out.